Hey everyone, welcome to Building Construction Occupations. This is a safety presentation and I am your instructor, Mr. Ring. First thing I want to go over is conduct on the job. One thing I want to highlight is the ability to respect each other, right? My attitude will always be based on how you treat me. If you treat me with disrespect, chances are you're going to get treated with disrespect. No horseplay. I don't want to see you guys running around here having a good old time, throwing a football, jumping up, chasing each other. Whatever the case is, it won't be tolerated. If you want to do that, pick another class. No distractions. You see this guy right here? He's even saying, look at me, I'm not paying attention while I'm on my phone. This is what you look like when you're walking through lab on your phone. Won't be tolerated. This guy over here is daydreaming. He's listening to something, who knows what. And you can see these guys over here think that it's funny to disconnect power while someone's working. Same thing, just don't do it. For some general safety rules, 3 things you need to consider, right? 1, knowledge. You need to know what you're doing, what you're working with, and who you're working with. 2 is skill. So what skills do you have? Are you fresh? Do you have some experience? Do you not? Make sure that you apply those to what you're doing and really highlight the safety portion of it. Also demonstrate an attitude of care and concern. If you don't care and you're not concerned with other people, they're not going to be concerned with you, and there's that attitude, the negativity kind of rolls in, and that's not something that you want to keep on pushing down. Clothing, there is a uniform for this lab. We'll discuss that further. But you want to dress for safety, not for style. No loose-fitting clothing, no jewelry that can get caught. That's chains, necklaces, bracelets, anything like that. Long hair, if you have any long hair, make sure that it's tied up, whether it's a long beard or it's a long ponytail, long bangs. I guess it depends on your style. Make sure it's tied up and out of the way. So here's some examples of what not to do. So you can see this guy, he's jackhammering on the side of a cliff with no hearing protection. He's using his feet, which I wouldn't recommend this. This guy, sure, if you want to. You could see up here, they're working on an elevated work surface. There's absolutely no safety, anything at all. If they fall, they're going to get severely injured, if not die. On this one, I highly recommend not doing this. While this guy does have hearing protection on, and that's pretty great, I don't suggest using a circular saw while using someone's back as a sawhorse. This guy, he'd be getting prize for gymnastics, but this isn't a gymnastics class. Again, I don't recommend doing this, hanging over an edge, over an elevated surface, and having some guy hold your feet. At the minimum, he could at least be watching to make sure that the guy's not going to get hurt. So let's go over some of the PPE, the personal protective equipment. So in here we use safety glasses, goggles, or face shield, and the question is why? The speed of power tools can propel smaller particles faster. So if you're using a saw or you're using a drill or you're using anything like that, it spins a lot faster than what you can make something spin. It can throw it further, it's going to make them smaller, and it's not something that you want in your eyes. More importantly, it's not only for the person performing the work. So when you're working out in lab, it's required that you need to wear safety glasses. Just because Johnny's over there drilling something or sanding or cutting doesn't mean that that stuff can't fly over to Jimmy, who's over here, and cause an issue. Depending on what we're doing, you're also going to be required to wear gloves. Why? Because you can get cut, you can get scrapes, you can get splinters. If we're working with block, in particular this marking period, it can rip the skin off your hands if you're not careful. Some of the common types are leather, cotton, anti-vibration, and cut resistant. They'll help protect you from minor scrapes and cuts, but you still need to be careful, right? It's well, they protect your hand from minor things. The more major things, they won't. As I say here, they won't protect from a moving blade or a bit. Depending on what we're doing, you'll also be required to wear earplugs or earmuffs. I have plenty of earmuffs. So when is it required? If you go to work, or if you go to a concert, or you do anything like that and you have temporary hearing loss, someone says something like, what'd you say? You probably need a hearing protection. Same thing, if you're at work and you get home, or you're at a concert or any loud sporting event and there's ringing or humming in your ears after you get home, then you probably need a hearing protection. This is an important one too. So if you're shouting, so a coworker 3 feet away from you can hear you, you probably need hearing protection. And a good way to do that is stick your hand out, and if someone is at arm's length away and you can't have a conversation with them, you need hearing protection. Respirators. So when we are working with things where respirators are required, they help protect you from dust, vapors, and other particulate matter. Let's do another review of what's wrong here with some of the PPE that we were talking about. So we already talked about the respirator, right? This guy's going to be creating an incredible amount of dust. He's using a jackhammer. You probably don't want to breathe in the dust. It's loaded with crystalline silica, which can lead to silicosis, which is not great. He also doesn't have safety glasses on, so any chips or any debris that come flying up are going to go right in his eyes. I prefer not to do that. Jackhammers are also very loud, and if you look, this guy doesn't have any hearing protection, but he does have a high-vis vest, so if someone's driving down the road, they may be able to see him. These are some of the general safe practices that we have in a lab, so make sure that you're using the right tool for the right job. I don't want to see you take a hammer and remove a screw with it. I don't want to see you use a hammer to drive a screw. I don't want to see you use a level as a pry bar. I don't want to see you use pliers to pull nails. There's stuff that you don't do. It's not the right tool for the right job. If you don't know, ask. Make sure that there's adequate lighting. So this is very important. You need to be able to see what you're doing. You don't want to not see what you're doing. Make sure the work area is free of debris and spills. So if there's anything that can cause you to trip or fall, so if there's blocks laying around, if there's dust laying around, if there's rubble laying around, anything at all, get it out of the way. Make sure there's nothing to stumble over, trip over, and the same with the spills. So this isn't an ice rink. If it's slippery, clean it up, right? It's kind of common sense. When you are using a tool, use only the manufacturer-approved attachments and accessories. I don't want to see you try to build something with pieces that don't fit, because it's not cool, right? You're going to wreck the tool, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to cause damage. It's not worth it. Don't take a shortcut. Ask. When you're working, always try to maintain your balance and don't overreach. There's going to be more on this with the ladder safety portion, but you don't want to overextend yourself, right? This isn't a gymnastics class. We don't have a high wire act, so just don't. Maintain control of the tool by using both hands if permissible, and a tight grip. So depending on the tool that you're using, a hammer, I would expect you to use one hand. If you're using a drill, depending on the application, you can use two, and there are other specialty tools where you need to use two hands. But maintain a tight grip, right? You don't want a loose grip, because if that happens, the tool can fall out of your hand. And if the tool falls out of your hand, then you can get hurt, someone else can get hurt, and whatever you're working on can get damaged. Good housekeeping. So going back up to this one too, right? We want to make sure that stuff's clean. Sweep up, clean up after yourself. As far as I know, no one's here to pick up after you because I'm not going to. You make a mess, you clean it up. It's your stuff, not mine. So this is a video that you can watch on your time. They're just going over how to properly lift stuff. So for things that are heavier and even things that aren't but just kind of bulky and a little awkward to carry, this is a good video to watch. There are questions in the quiz about it, so make sure that you watch it. So in the video, they give you 8 commandments of safe lifting. 1 is to plan the lift and test the load, right? So make sure that the load's balanced. Just because it's a big box doesn't mean that the weight inside is evenly distributed. If you need to ask for help, ask for help. Sometimes it takes 2 people to move something, and that's okay. Make sure that you have firm footing, right? No slips, no hazards, no debris, nothing laying around. When you go to lift, make sure you bend at the knees. Use your legs, not your back. When you're getting ready, make sure that you tighten your stomach muscles and you get ready to brace for the lift. Then you'll lift with your legs. You want to keep the load close because if it's further out, it's going to be more difficult to carry and it's going to throw you off balance. When you do have it, make sure that you keep your back upright. You don't want to be hunched over doing anything. It's just going to put unnecessary strain on your back. Let's look over some ladder safety. So you can see this guy, I'd fire him, no questions asked. These guys, probably not the safest thing to do. This is not the way that you use an A-frame ladder, number 1. Number 2, over here, not a great idea. And realistically, all they're doing is painting. They can put another handle on it. These guys, again, hey, give credit where credit's due. They all have high-vis vests on, good for them. Not the right type of ladder. So you can see it there. There's 2 people holding the ladder instead of this being an A-frame. Here we go again. So this guy is using an A-frame ladder, but this guy's holding it. Don't. And here we have another one. This guy is, I don't know, maybe he's going to jump into a water tank or something. He's up on the top ledge. When you get the ladders and you look at them, they'll let you know what step is the last step. Don't go above that. So, safety first. Always inspect the ladder before each use. So, just because it's up and it's laying somewhere doesn't mean it's in good condition, right? Someone could have went and they're like, oh, I broke it. I don't want to tell anyone about it. I'm just going to put it back and act like nothing's wrong. It's up to you to check it. Make sure that the rails are in good condition, that the rungs are in good condition, that it operates as it should, that nothing's broken, nothing's frayed, the weight rating is appropriate. So this is another video that you'll be able to watch. It's a good video on ladder setup and everything else. You can take time to do this. It's embedded in this presentation. You have access to it. And there's questions for it on the quiz.
Let's assume you've chosen the right ladder.
So let's look over some of the things you need to do. Read and follow all labels and markings on the ladder. So they'll give you different weight ratings, they'll let you know what type of material it is and things like that. Avoid electrical hazards, right? When you're working, always look for overhead power lines before handling a ladder. Makes sense, right? You might not look up and say, oh, look, there's wires, but if there is, you want to avoid them. You don't want to bump into wires with a ladder. If it gets caught or something happens, I think everyone can agree that you probably don't want to get zapped or electrocuted. Avoid using a metal ladder near power lines or expose energized electrical equipment. So going back, unless you want to get zapped or electrocuted, which I think most people don't, a fiberglass ladder, which we have in here, is a little bit better than a metal ladder, right? Fiberglass is non-conductive, metal ladders aren't, metal ladders are conductive, fiberglass aren't. Use only ladders and appropriate accessories, such as ladder levelers, jacks, or hooks for their design purposes. We'll go over more of this. Ladders must be free of any slippery material on the rungs, steps, or feet. So this kind of makes sense, right? If you're going to go up steps, no matter what kind of steps they are, you probably don't want them slippery. Well, it's the same for a ladder, right? If there's grease on the rungs and you're up 10 feet, probably not going to be a good day for you. So take time, check out the rungs, check out the steps, and make sure that they're clean and there's no slippery material on them. Do not use a self-supporting ladder, such as a step ladder, as a single ladder or in a partially closed position. So the step ladders that we have are made, they're A-frame ladders, so they're like this, but they're meant to be open. Okay, so make sure that they're open. Don't lean them up against the wall. We have extension ladders for that. Do not use the top step or rung of a ladder as a step or rung unless it was designed for that purpose. So, more ladder safety. Use a ladder only on a stable and level surface unless it has been secured top or bottom to prevent displacement. So you want to make sure that in here we're pretty fortunate, right? There's a floor. Some places where you work there won't be, and sometimes the way that things are set up, you have to tie off. In here you don't really need to worry about it, but I just want to make you aware of it. Do not place a ladder on boxes, barrels, or other unstable bases to obtain additional height. So, why would you not want to put a ladder on boxes? I think that's self-explanatory, right? Barrels, same thing. They're not a stable surface. Do not move or shift the ladder while a person or equipment is on the ladder. If I catch you guys bunny hopping these, it's not going to be a good day for you. So just don't. Go down the ladder. Make sure when you're up at the top, you're like, oh, hey, I have tools up here. Take the tools down. Take any material down with you. It's not a storage area. It's not a shelf. Put them in your belt. Climb down. Take your time. Do it safely, and then move the ladder. An extension ladder or straight ladder used to access an elevated surface must extend at least 3 feet above the point of support. We'll go over more of this in lab to give you a better idea of what that looks like. More ladder safety. A ladder placed in any location where it can be displaced by other work activities must be secured to prevent displacement, or a barricade must be erected to keep traffic away from the ladder. So take a minute, and I want you to imagine this. You're working in front of a set of doors, kind of like the doors that you just walk through to come in here. You're on one side and someone's on the other side. Your ladder is right next to the doors. You don't have any signs, and oh boy, it's time to dismiss. Run out the door, you're on your phone, not paying attention, and someone's on a ladder outside. What do you think's going to happen? So if you're working next to a door or anything like that, always make sure that you have signage up, barricades of some sort, even another set of eyes to let people know. Make sure that all locks and on an extension ladder are properly engaged. Again, we'll go over this as an example in lab. Do not exceed the maximum load rating of a ladder. Be aware of the ladder's load rating and of the weight it is supporting, including the weight of any tools or equipment. So I want you to check out some of the load rating for the ladders that we have in here. So that means you, your equipment, and anything else that you're going to bring up with you, rough estimate, right, because we're not going to use a scale here, but make sure that you don't exceed the rating of the ladder. So these are some fall protection requirements. OSHA has a 6-foot rule, so anything above 6 foot, you're going to need fall protection. If you're working around open machinery, you're going to need fall protection. Make sure that you have guardrails, safety nets, personal fall arrest systems. If you need to reach 10 inches below a walking surface, you also need that. So I want you to think about this. Get up, try it out if you want. Stand up, try to touch your toes. Right? If you can't, that's okay. But just think about how awkward that is to not only do that on an elevated surface, but then reach 10 inches below that. So even if you're squatted down or you're down on your knees, if you're reaching down 10 inches past something, you're throwing yourself kind of out of balance and you're going to need fall protection. When you're out and you're working, so if you're trenching and doing excavation and things along those lines, you need to know where underground utilities are located before digging. So here we actually need to call someone. It's called a PA1 call, and they'll send people out. You have to mark it with white paint. They'll come out, they'll check for gas, they'll check for power, they'll check for water, they'll check for storm sewer. And just to let you know, before you dig, you might run into something. Keep the excavated soil, also known as spoils, and other material at least 2 feet from trench edges, right? So if you have your trench here and you're digging, wow, that's a nice trench, Mr. Ring said. You want to make sure that you're piling up your material over this way and make sure that this is at least 2 feet. I know what you're thinking. Why do you want it 2 feet away? Why do you want it next to the hole? That's my question. You don't want this rolling back into the hole that you dug, especially if there's going to be people working in there. You want to keep the heavy equipment away from the edges. I think that's kind of common sense, right? So if we have a trench, you don't want to drive a piece of heavy equipment that drove it right next to the trench. Chances of it caving are pretty good. Identify any equipment or activities that could affect trench stability. So there's a ton of things. This is more open to a discussion. When you guys get to this point, we can talk about it because we could spend the rest of the day talking about this. Test for atmospheric hazards such as low oxygen, hazardous fumes, and toxic gases. And workers that are more than 4 feet deep. Gonna need a trench box for these guys. Always inspect the trenches at the start of each shift. Just because they were good yesterday doesn't mean that they're going to be good today. Inspect trenches following a rainstorm or other water intrusion. Inspect trenches after any occurrence that could have changed conditions in the trench. Do not work under suspended or raised loads and materials. So if there's something above your head, you're looking, you're like, oh, hey, look, this is cool. No, it's really not. You never know if something's going to let loose. You never know what's going to happen. If you see someone and they're moving, let's say, an I-beam, don't stand underneath it, right? Kind of common sense. Don't just look up and say, wow, that's pretty cool. Don't. If it falls, you're crushed. Ensure that personal wear high visibility or other suitable clothing when exposed to vehicular traffic. Makes sense, right? Because especially now, people don't pay attention when they drive. They're on their phones. Pennsylvania just passed a law where you're not allowed to be on your phone when you're driving, for those of you who drive, and those of you who will be driving. But it makes sense that you want to wear high vis, right? Because there's different standards for it, different reflective, different colors, things like that. Fire extinguishers, everyone's favorite topic. So there's a few types of fire extinguishers. The first one is Class A, and those are for fires involving wood, cloth, paper, or rubber. Class B includes flammable liquids, combustible liquids, solvents, oil-based paints, and flammable gases. Class C involves energized electrical equipment. So, after going through those, A, B, and C, what type do we have in the lab? That's a great question, Mr. Ring said. Maybe you should go check. When it comes time to use it, follow this acronym, right? PASS. P-A-S-S. Pull the pin to the fire extinguisher. Aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. Squeeze the trigger and sweep back and forth. So we do have 3 located in this lab. 1, 2, 3. Pause the video. I know I'm asking a lot. Pause the video. Go find them. See where they're at. Familiarize yourself with them. Know where they're at in case something happens. The next thing we're going to talk about are safety data sheets. So anything that we use in here, any chemical, anything more or less that can cause harm, material-wise, we have a safety data sheet for. So if we're using paint, it lets us know the type of chemicals that are in it. If we're using something along those lines, a solvent or anything, it gives us all the information that we need to work with it safely and what to do in case you're exposed to it. So hopefully by now all of you have logged on to Clever, and if you log on you will see that there's this piece right here that says SDS Online. There's a drop down, you can go through, find the stuff for this lab, and everything's listed. Now let's talk electrical safety. So some of these sound like common sense, but I just want to make sure that I hit them with you. Do not use power tools in or around water. Why? Do not use power tools with cracked housings. Why? Do not use power tools with frayed cords. Why? Do not use power tools with missing prongs. What are prongs? Do not set ladders against electrical lines. Why? Check condition of power tools. For what? All great questions. I'm so glad that I asked them. These are discussions that we're going to have throughout the year. Just pay attention to them. Make sure that you do these, right? And we can talk about what happens if you don't. So you will see two different types of plugs depending on the tools. So if it is a polarized plug, right, we have a hot and a neutral, but you can see that there's not that third one, the grounding prong, it's not there. If you have a tool and it's polarized, it must have a double insulated symbol, which is a small square inside of a big square, right? It's going to have it somewhere on the housing. Look for it, make sure that it has it. If it doesn't, or it's supposed to have a grounding prong and it doesn't, don't use it, report it to me immediately. If it is grounded, you're going to see that it has this third prong coming out. If this is broken, damaged, missing, anything like that, let me know. All three prongs must be there and must be in good shape. In case there's evacuations, so we follow an ALICE procedure. This is in case there is an active shooter or someone in the building who shouldn't be here. A stands for alert, is your first notification of danger. Then lockdown, barricade the room, prepare to evacuate or counter if needed. So depending on where this is and how it shakes out, we're either going to leave the building or prepare for an intruder. I is for inform. Communicate the violent intruder's location and direction in real time. C is for counter. Create noise, movement, distance, and distraction with the intent of reducing the shooter's ability to shoot accurately. E, evacuate. When safe to do so, remove yourself from the danger zone. Fire drills. So when it's time for a fire drill, we're going to exit the glass man door in the lab, turn right, and head towards the wall. We're going to do this as a class. If I say clear the room, leave. You don't need to be there. Make room for emergency personnel to access the area. Phone procedures, I have these posted behind my desk as well. As you can see, further information is available in the emergency guide behind my desk. That's it. If you have any questions about anything, please ask. If you need help, please ask. If you don't know where something is, please ask. Just ask, right? That's what we're here for. You're here to learn. Let's make sure that you learn and that you do it and you're safe. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe.